Hello everyone. This is the freshest episode of Present Perfect Podcast. And today with me I have Aurelie, who is an expert on positive corporate culture.
Hi, Ksenija. Thank you very much for having me. So yes, I'm Aurelie Litinsky. I'm a positive work culture. I'm the author of the book 100 Ideas for a Positive Work Culture. And I'm also a certified Chief Happiness Officer. I do like the title. I'm a certified Chief Wellbeing Officer. And I have many certifications on change management, stress management, feedback culture, and so on. So everything related to a positive work culture.
Talking to you already makes me feel happy and positive. So Aurelie, actually we met first time at a conference, at the Lean In conference, because you were talking on the stage about the book, 100 Ideas for Positive Corporate Culture. And I immediately thought, this is exactly what the world needs.
Yes, definitely. And that's why I wrote the book, basically. It came out of an idea from my clients because every time I do a session on positive work culture or, on emotional intelligence and, I follow a lot of companies. I work with a lot of companies everywhere in the world. And every time I take ideas, we create ideas together. So I had such a database on my computer. I was like, I need to share that to the world.
Thank you so much for sharing your database. Because I think positive corporate culture is really something that is lacking, not in Zurich context only, but globally. Maybe I'm biased by the social media culture because I see how many people complain about having the toxic environments. I had different experiences. I guess most of the people who listen to us now probably had experiences that could have been better. Otherwise, probably they wouldn't click, or maybe they just strive to have the extra positive corporate environment. Who knows? You say you have a whole toolbox. But what would be the small things that you can implement easily and use on an everyday basis?
So there is one tip I always share in all of my speeches, basically. It's to reflect on your highlight of the day. Why? Because we all have a negativity bias, and the negativity bias is mostly controlled by the part of our brain called the amygdala. So it's situated in our primitive brain. So it's a very, very active part. And that's why at the end of the day, we are focusing much more on negative emotions, on negative experiences than on the positive one. So by just focusing and reflecting on your highlight of the day, the small things that really created positive emotions in you can be really like drinking a coffee with a nice colleague, having a break, receiving a nice email from a client, receiving a positive feedback from your boss, all of this kind of moments in the workplace that we don't really pay attention to. You hack your brain, you reduce your negativity bias, and you boost your positive emotions.
But that is if you emphasize positive highlight.
Yes.
And then when it comes to negative highlights, you try to not pay so much attention to it, right?
Well, the thing is, it's not about avoiding negative emotions. It's not about toxic positivity here. Definitely not, because our frustrations, our difficult emotions can really help us also to take action, right? But let's just pay attention not to fall into this hamster wheel of negativity, because then at the end, once you are in the negative cycle, it's very hard to get out of it.
If you consciously really want to pay attention to the good things, how do you make sure that you're not missing some signals that are very vital, would be more negative signals?
Well, here you have to be aware, you have to be self-aware, and you have to be very good at social awareness. So when we speak about emotional intelligence, social awareness here is very important, right? To pay attention to what's going on around you, to pay attention to body languages, the energy of your team members, how do they feel, to really have an open communication. But again, if this person is really focusing only on the positive and with more like a toxic positivity, then of course, because toxic positivity, it's about avoiding conflict.
Can you share some more tricks with us?
So everything related to giving recognition, giving positive feedback, praising people, being grateful of small things are powerful tools to boost positive emotions, that's for sure. And that's why it's very important to reflect, what do I need to feel good at work? What do I need to boost my happiness in the workplace? Because most of the time we know exactly what we don't like, what frustrates us at work, but we are not really focusing on the things that are important for us, that really make us feel good. So here I have an example, in fact, in the book on how to reflect or how to find out your own definition of happiness at work.
Yes, how? Please tell me. I need to know.
So, there are a few things you can start to pay attention to. So first, ask yourself, what's important for you at work? What motivates you? What makes you feel good? What would you need to be just a bit happier? And when I ask these questions and the participants are really taking the time to reflect, most of the time I hear keywords like recognition is very important to me, or having responsibilities, being challenged, having autonomy, having the freedom to decide. Yeah? All of these keywords are quite coming back when I ask these questions because it's mostly part of our definition of happiness at work. But we are all different. Some people, once I had a leader, a young leader telling me, well, I'm a young leader, but I don't like to have responsibilities. I don't like to be a people leader. And in fact, I realized with your exercise that it's not for me. Wow. Because this didn't make him happy, right? So it's just about really reflecting on what's important for you. And just by having this transparency, it's already giving you an action plan.
I think it's really interesting that you're mentioning this situation with a young leader who realized he doesn't want to be in a leadership position. Because I think in the minds of most of the people, we all strive for the same. People think that everyone wants to climb the ladder, everyone wants to be the manager, and then the middle manager, and then the top manager one day. But when you realize it's actually not suitable for you, I think it is a kind of a double revelation. First, revelation about yourself, and second, also about how do you communicate to the world that this is not your way of happiness. There is also another thing that I think in the society we emphasize a lot, and that is productivity. I think in many, I don't know about the most, but in many corporate cultures, you have the emphasis on productivity specifically, and much less on the vibes, on the environment, on the happiness. Why do you think it is important, if you agree with this, to prioritize happiness?
We have 25 years of scientific research to prove that our emotions, our well-being, our happiness have a major impact on us, on our productivity, on our engagement, on our motivation, on our creativity. So there is a correlation between our emotions and our performance. I remember for myself, once I came to a brainstorming session, and basically I entered the meeting, and one of my colleagues was extremely negative. But I came to the meeting with a lot of ideas because I knew I was prepared. But because of that colleague who was so negative, I really felt his negativity, and then I started to be negative myself. And I lost my confidence, I lost my motivation, I lost my engagement, and I didn't speak up during that meeting. It's to show that negativity is contagious.
What would be your advice to your younger self in that particular situation?
Or to speak up and to really protect myself from these negative behaviors, and to really be more self-confident and to say, hey, I do have some ideas, let's take a break from this.
So many people actually focus on the goal so much that they take the kind of the grinding way, the way to the goal, as something that is inevitably, maybe not really negative, but something where it lacks the emotion or the happiness, because you say, okay, now I need to reach the goal, so I put aside all the emotions that I have about it. I focus, I have my eyes on the prize, and that's it. When you already have somebody who is negative, clearly negative about the place where they work, what are the things that they should try before they give up?
So I would say first, understand a bit the science behind our emotions, because for me, at least, it changed everything. Really, self-awareness, self-reflection and self-awareness is the first step. And then you can take action.
Are there some tiny experiments that one can do when feeling negative? By experiments, I mean, for example, imagining that you are already in the positive corporate environment and behaving as if it is already positive. So coming in with a smile, coming in kind of open, talking to people immediately, smiling, maybe making a little joke, maybe sharing something that is already a happy moment.
But there is a study to prove that when you are smiling, even though you don't feel like it, when you are smiling, you are sending a signal to your brain that, it's something positive. And then, you start to react with more positivity, right? And it's like you are smiling at me right now, and I want to smile.
Aurelie, since our podcast is primarily focusing on women and how to help women enhance their lives with practical tips, what would you say would be the best advice for women who are in the mid of their career transitioning to different roles, how can they in the beginning establish already the positive corporate culture and how to thrive in the environment where maybe you have already a culture that is a little bit different?
Most of the time, let's not also putting women in a box, but most of the time we are very good at emotional intelligence. I mean, this is the skills to really master with our new way of working, especially with the rise of artificial intelligence.
How?
We are very good at being socially aware of the emotions of others. We are very good at showing empathy. And these are really amazing skills to master in the workplace. And I can really see a shift in terms of mindset. So 10 years ago, let's say, we tried to fit in, especially when we were working in a male-dominated industry. And now I can really see a shift from trying to fit in to trying to use our strengths, especially in emotional intelligence as women. We are very good at collaborating. We are very good at building relationships in the workplace, putting people together, building communities. All of that are extremely important in the workplace. So I would really recommend every woman starting in their career or continuing in their career, especially when they are in a male-dominated industry, to understand much more about emotional intelligence and to learn how to develop our skills.
I imagine myself in the team. If I feel the tension, would you say I can use my emotional intelligence by coming to the person one-on-one and trying to see if there is something to say?
Just open the communication, say how you feel, without saying like, oh my God, I feel this way. Not being in the stereotype stuff, of course, but by being very professional, using assertive language, and just express, what you observed, what you would like to have as a relationship with this person, how the communication should be, and just open up the conversation. Include also other people to really create this positive work environment. First, self-aware, but also creating an environment where we can all speak up, where we can all communicate openly and collaborate in the best way.
So also, for example, give attention to the people who usually speak less.
Exactly.
And make sure that they it's not that they speak less because they don't feel the space for it, but because they don't want to.
Exactly. And here it's about being socially aware.
I know that you are so fully booked in terms of the trainings for the corporates. What do you say are usually the trigger that they would think that they need an expert to give them the training? Is it because they feel that this is a trend and generally the world pays more attention to psychology at work? Or is it because they already feel that there is an issue?
We have to be transparent here. Of course, the topics of positive psychology really developed the last few years, especially during and after COVID. But at the same time, I have leaders contacting me because they do have issues in their team. Okay, my team is not really engaged at the moment. I can feel like they are becoming really negative. They are losing their motivation and engagement. Another one is stress management. The workload is huge. We don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to be productive. We don't know how to focus anymore, and so on. We don't only need to improve our technical skills, but we especially need to improve our human skills to make a real difference at work. Because in a few years, everyone will master artificial intelligence, but maybe not everyone will be good at managing social interactions.
Is this part of your executive leadership accelerator?
Yes. Okay. The last years, I did a lot of leadership programs within a company for a client. And I decided as of January 2026 to open it to new leaders from different industries, from different companies. So it would be a mix of online sessions, of one-on-one coaching session with me.
That's generous.
Of also being part of a community of leaders, learning new content, but also hearing from other leaders about their experiences.
How do I know that I, as a leader, need your accelerator?
Basically, if you agree with me that technical skills is not enough to be a great leader, then it's really the time also to develop your human skills.
Let's say I already find myself in the environment that is very stressed. And let's say it can also be for objective reasons. The company is not making enough money. Some people go into the burnout and you need to substitute them. You cannot find a good substitute quickly. The workload is increasing. Maybe there is one person who starts the negative talk and it kind of spreads because the the person is very influential somehow. What do I do about it if it is objectively stressful and I still need to keep the motivation up for the whole team?
There are a lot of things in the workplace you cannot influence, but a lot of things you can do, to have a positive impact. A lot of people are engaged at work, but they are super stressed and they are not feeling good and they are frustrated. So I hear many leaders, by the way, telling me, I don't want to speak about happiness in the workplace. I prefer to speak about engagement. And I always tell them, pay attention. If you only speak about your team's engagement, then for sure you will have a lot of people super engaged, but not happy. And this is really not good for the long term.
Because it might end up in a burnout.
Exactly.
What can you do to prevent the burnout? Or even if not prevent, but minimize the chances?
So here again, it's about stress management. So really creating your own toolbox for stress management.
You say develop your own toolbox, and I completely agree with this. But I need some inspiration. It's like with trying new cuisine. If I don't know that something exists, I'm never going to try it.
Yeah. So for example, part of your stress management toolbox could be applying time boxing. So time boxing is a time management technique that's really helping you to be more productive. You basically set the time in your calendar and you decide which task you are going to do when. Mm-hmm. So for example, Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 10, I'm going to work on this specific project. And during this specific project, I'm not going to check my emails. I'm going to switch off my phone and just concentrate on this task. Then from 11 to 11:15, you are going maybe to check your emails and answer your urgent email. Then at 11:30, you have a meeting until 12:30. Then you have lunch. And then at 2 o'clock, you do another time boxing for a specific task. And this really helps you to manage your day more productively, to handle your distractions, because we are so distracted at work. This is crazy. And this is really influencing our stress level. So it's about really finding what's right for you, but finding all of these tools that you can apply for your situation that really make a difference. It's also understanding your energy drainers and energy fillers, right? I have great illustrations in the book about that, but by reflecting like what drains your energy and what fulfill and recharge your energy level, right? So by adding this to your toolbox, it will definitely help you to handle your stress level. But of course, you cannot change the culture by yourself, right? If in your team it's quite toxic, or you don't have this psychological safety to speak up and to say, hey, we need to work on this task because, we are overloaded, we are super stressed. Let's find a way to be more productive all together. And let's really brainstorm on what can we change within our team to be more productive and to be less stressed. If you don't have the right environment to speak up, then it's an issue, right? And it's why we always come back to creating the positive work culture, because it starts with that. And then you can handle challenges and issues much better.
Talking about distractions, what's your opinion on open office?
So I would say it can be great for boosting relationships, for having, for collaborating, for getting to know people. But I would avoid it to do it every single day. I'm a big fan of hybrid work. So when I hear companies forcing their employees to go back to the office 5 days a week, I'm so against it. Because
thank you so much for saying this. Maybe somebody listens to us who has the power to change that.
I'm really against it. And this is why, because when we are working from home, most of us, again, and this is very individual, but most of us, we can be extremely productive. We are super efficient because we are not distracted by our colleagues. We are not distracted by, someone passing by in the corridor and being on the phone. So of course there is a negative side of it, because then we have less relationship. But that's why you can do 2 days at home and 3 days in the office, or vice versa. Do a mix. Let's not oblige employees to work only from home or to work only from the office, but let's really open the conversation and see what do they need.
There is this tension because people always measure other people by their own example. And then if you don't accept that other people are different and they are sincere, as long as they deliver what they promise to deliver, why do we have to give those limitations and those boundaries, right?
Exactly. And here again, you cannot open up the conversation if you don't have the right culture. If you don't have the right team's culture where you can trust people, when you can speak up, where you can ask questions and include the team members in the decision.
How to encourage people to speak up in a team, especially about things that are rather negative? How can they know that they will not be at the later point somehow punished for being honest?
When you get along with your colleagues, when you get along with your manager, when you have this safe environment to discuss and to ask questions, and you are not afraid to ask questions, and you are not anxious to start a conversation because you get along and you have this trust and empathy towards each other, then it's easier to speak up.
Have you ever encountered negative working culture that's not obviously negative, but somehow hidden negativity?
Yes, definitely. During one of my experience at work, I was mobbed by my direct boss. And she was extremely control freak, and she didn't trust me. She was really sending me like mean emails and so on. But no one else saw it. And I really suffered from it, and I left, right? And I wish I would have speak up a bit more, but I didn't have the strength at that time. So you can really see that negativity is contagious, and there is a huge impact on yourself, on your health. I was sick all the time.
Would you say that happy place is a flexible place?
Yes, in fact, yes, it is. Because, if you create the environment at work where people can really express what they need and what's important for them, then you create the right environment for everybody to perform at their best.
What if John can work 6 hours per day and deliver same results as Gunther working 9 hours a day?
It's not about quantity, it's about quality. Because I've been interviewing different companies doing 4-day week, they are super productive, even though they are working 4 days. But it doesn't mean that they are working 4 days, like 10 or 12 hours a day, to just compensate the Friday when they take off, or the Monday, or whatever the day they take off. It's really finding the right methodology for everyone to be more productive within less hours.
I'm also a big supporter of one task per time. Multitasking doesn't exist. People keep on having this misconception.
Yeah.
And I hear it a lot, even from my close circle of friends.
Yeah, we know it as well for research.
The multitasking you can breathe and think at the same time.
And I always have the same discussion with my husband, because he's more on the multitasking, at least on the personal level, when I see him at home. And I'm like, wait a minute, let me finish this, and then we discuss about the other thing we need to discuss. One thing at a time. Yeah.
Let's say, what if I am a toxic person and I don't know it and nobody tells me in the team? How can I recognize that the problem is me and not the place?
Interesting. So it's important to also understand that we cannot change people. We can inspire them to change, right? But if you are the person yourself and you don't even realize it, well, hopefully you are going to listen to this podcast and seeing the importance of emotional intelligence and being self-aware of your own emotions. I think here it's really individual also, right? We all need at one point to self-reflect on our behaviors, to self-reflect on what can we improve in our life to grow. It's about having a growth mindset, because then this person might have a fixed mindset, right? I was leading a session last week, in fact, on a fixed and growth mindset. And it was wonderful to see how most of the people think they have a growth mindset, right? But once you understand really what is a fixed and a growth mindset, you're like, oh, maybe in some situation I have a fixed mindset. In some situation, I cut myself like, oh, this is a fixed mindset. I need to change. But only if you listen to podcasts, if you read articles, if you read books, if you attend workshops and courses, then you realize, oh, yeah, because it's not rocket science. You just need to hear it. You just need to be inspired by it and to learn new skills. So I think we should all learn new skills, and we should all reflect on our behaviors, on our mindsets, and having a growth mindset to say, hey, yes, I can learn that. So if this person is listening to a podcast or hopefully reading a book like mine, maybe this person might realize, in this situation, I used to react like this. Maybe I will try these tips. Maybe I will try this, what I heard from this and this expert in this podcast or in this workshop. I think we should all learn.
I'm really hoping for this.
Hopefully.
If you could give every manager one little practice they can do tomorrow to really improve the happiness in the team, what would that be?
I would say apply the principles of positive leadership. The one tip will be aware of your leadership style and be aware of developing your human skills.
Actually, I think it's a super point now about the different leadership styles and how for different leadership styles you might have the different weaknesses and the opportunities, and see what you can emphasize based on these. Do you have a kind of a test or something?
In fact, in my book, let me take it again, I have a chapter. So here in the chapter, you can find some good examples to analyze your leadership style and to see what can you do with it.
Very good. Aurelie, one last question.
Yes.
That I did not prepare you for.
Oh yeah, I'm scared now.
At all. What is one message you want to leave behind for people who listen to this podcast?
Oh, well, it's an easy one for me because I'm a true believer about that. Emotions are contagious. Negative emotions are contagious, but positive emotions also. So very important to realize what kind of emotions you have and what kind of emotions you project, because emotions are contagious. Pay attention to it.
Thank you so much, Aurelie.
Thank you.